What is up, everyone? Today we're overanalyzing the new Nintendo Switch 2 Deltarune trailer. So, the trailer begins with, the annoying dog approaching you, obviously. That's pretty cool. Yep. Okay, so the first thing I need to, uh, talk about here is that when this little new pop-up appears, the 2 kind of twitches a little, which means that Chapter 2 might be getting some minor changes at some point on release. Maybe it could mean something else, but I'm not entirely sure. The thing is, the 2 twitches here, so I'm not sure what this means. Anyway, this part over here, not really much that's happening. We just have the fun gang here. Deltarune. Okay, now here, actually, I didn't immediately notice, but hold on, let me try that again. If we take a look here, we can see that we have one of those shadow people from Chapter 3. So this seems to be a shot from later Castletown in Chapter 3 or 4. Not much to say here, really. This is really the only new character they reveal here. So we're not getting any new characters revealed in this shot. Anyway, now we have some Chapter 1 and 2 footage. Nothing new, really. Now this is interesting. This appears to be the thing where that one act that was showcased back in the Spamton sweepstakes, which, dang, that was like a year ago, or maybe even 2. I don't even remember. Anyway, what I wanted to say is that there seems to be an ammo counter and a timer now. So this does seem to be a pretty tight act. Then we see this, which... this is interesting. I personally think that this might be a new thing in the dojo. This is kind of reminiscent of the Green Soul now that I look at it. With the shields. I mean, maybe it's a Chapter 3 or 4 thing. I doubt it's a Chapter 4 thing, but could be something from Chapter 3. I don't know what these cat faces down here are. Maybe they're just fluffy dogs either. I'm not entirely sure, again. This is all just speculation. I personally think this might be the dojo. It just feels like the kind of thing to have here in the dojo. Then we have this beautiful shot with Chris absolutely rocking that guitar, Susie going haywire on the drums, and Ralsei with a mohawk. Now, what caught my attention here the most is the title in the background, which it appears to be Leitner's Live. Here I actually provided some evidence. Here I bumped up the contrast a little, so you can actually see in one of the frames that there's a little lighter spot here, which could be part of another letter that's creeping through the combo counter here. So, considering it's pretty short, and there don't seem to be any other ones creeping like that, I think it's pretty safe to assume that this is an I, so it's probably Leitner's Live, or Life, I don't know. Maybe... whatever. What I also want to point out is that the word Leitner's, which in this case would refer to Chris and Susie, and not as much to Ralsei. Although, again, this is later in the game, so we might learn that Ralsei is actually a Leitner somehow, or something like that. Not sure about that, but yeah. it's not really a very not a very good argument because the three of them have been referred to as Lightners in chapters 1 and 2 together. I feel like maybe Rousey just gets a little overshadowed when the Fung Gang gets referred to as Lightners with that. But now about the minigame itself, this actually seems to be multiplayer. I mean, there are two different things, and Susie's just blocked off. So I'd assume this is a minigame that up to 3 players can play, where each one can choose whose rhythm section they want to do. They seem to be different in their shape. Not sure if they're different mechanically at all, but as there are separate combo counters for each one, I think they're different people playing as the different characters. Now this shot, what caught my attention the most here is the different color palettes of Susie and Chris. And I actually, in this really short time, managed to come up with a good explanation for that. For this, I will need to bring up my color wheel here that I prepared. Not this. So the color wheel. As you can see, I marked this green spot here and wrote light next to it. This is like the main color of the Light World Chris sprite. Green, maybe even yellow in some cases. Then for the Dark World sprite, we have mostly blue hues. And here we have this weird pale purpley, so I guess it should have been closer to the middle, which is white. But here this demonstrates my point, which could also connect to the chair from Spamton Sweepstakes, where the page title is, "What if it could get darker than dark?" So here, I believe it gets darker than dark, and the character's hue shifts even further along the color wheel. Same with Susie. She, in Light World, is kind of a purple that's closer to blue, kind of like my little shirt here, the little character. In the Dark World, she gets a little more closer to magenta, and here she goes a whole way over to orange and yellow, which is also something interesting to point out. I've also seen another comment people have made about this, which is that this is probably the church Dark World in Chapter 4, because of you know, just the overall vibe of the windows. And if we go a little bit back here, we can see some kind of shattered glass, which definitely looks like some kind of glass pane that would be in a church. So then we have the is waiting part, as I like to call it. So what's interesting to note here is that for chapters 1 and 2, they showcase the climaxes of the chapters. So here we have the fight against King. Hello, Stray Pixel. In chapter 2, we have Giga Queen, obviously. For chapter 3, we get this shot of the TV, which appears to not actually be gameplay footage. But if we continue the trend of the last 2 chapters, then the TV is the main antagonist of chapter 3. And then for chapter 4, we don't get anything, but instead we get this escape sequence. So I think chapter 4 is going to end with us running for our lives. Although here, a bit of a inconsistency with the previous shot is that here, Chris's thing here that would normally be magenta, here it's red. Here, it's the same color as their skin shaded by their hair. Also, if you go just a little bit, if you go just a little bit back, you'll see that this ball Chris jumping sprite actually has the normal colors. I think this is just an oversight. It probably doesn't mean anything. It's probably not too noticeable in gameplay even. So again, there's like the Deltarune on these. They look very decorated. And they seem to be made out of some glass-like material because they shatter here. So, also, probably church-related. And then this final shot here. This really sick animation. What I'd like to say here, these two big things that open up, those look like wings. And this is like a really big creature. So I think this is the angel. Like the angel's heaven from the legend. This is the angel. I mean, there's even like a little sword mark here or something. There's a little cut. It's some kind of... What I'm trying to say here is that this could be the wings of an angel. Oh, wait, my color wheel is still here. Forgot about that. So, I think that's it for today. I think that's it, actually. So, just wanted to drop some quick observations. Nothing special. Just some quick little theories as to what might be happening in the future chapters. We could get a multiplayer minigame. Could also be in the dojo, actually. I mean, the dojo, and then the shields minigame, which could be, again, part of a chapter. Like, for example, the punch-out style minigame in Chapter 2, which foreshadows the final boss. I don't think this would foreshadow anything, though. It's just a little too vague for that. Actually, I'm unsure of that. Okay, well, I've been yapping for enough time. That's it, guys. Thank you all for tuning in to this amazing reaction to the trailer. I actually can't believe we're actually got Deltarune news in this direct. And we also got, like, confirmation that Silksong will release in 2025. Not much else about Silksong, though. Anyway, okay, I should really shut up and just release this already. Bye!